All right, and just like that, I screwed up the first intro. So I mean, nothing like that, right?
Hey,
The
makes it
wonders of
interesting.
technology. Yeah, for real. All right, so thank you everybody for listening. This is JT on the Beyond the Breakdown podcast with Six Scars, and tonight I am joined by my friend and musical twin. Sometimes I feel in Will Brawley. Will, how you doing tonight, man?
Good, good. How are you?
Doing good and not enjoying the cold weather, but I'm sure it's worse up your way.
No, it's about 40 degrees here.
I hate you right now.
Yeah, this is my comfort right here. I love the cold, so I would take yours, but
Well, you're in Oregon, right?
yeah.
So like when it gets cold, and then when does it ever get hot there?
Well, last summer we got a few triple digit days. The year before that we hit about 113 on one of those days.
Oh wow,
So we could get pretty hot here and we could get pretty cold. Just depends on what part of the state you're in. But
fair enough. Well, I
yeah.
did not expect that actually. I figured up
Uh,
in Oregon it was just gonna be like one way or the other, but I guess I'm just ignorant.
No, no, it's a bipolar state as far as its weather goes. Like it could be sunny 1 second and the next second it's a torrential downpour.
I have that in common with Oregon then.
Yeah.
All right, man. So tell the listeners a little bit about you and what you're doing right now with Liars Pacifist.
I guess if I had to just kind of condense it down, I'm just a avid, passionate music lover that is always pursuing that next new thing that's unique to whatever particular band catches my interest. So I've had a pipe dream, or maybe just a dream, to make my own music, but as the years go by, it's kind of seeming like something that it's still a possibility, but it's gonna be one of those things that it comes at the right time when it's meant to happen.
Hmm.
And so yeah, I decided that I wanted to, if there's an avenue in the music realm that I could take that's gonna be as minimal for cost for my my situation, then that would make the most sense. And so I was at work and I got this idea, hey, why don't I try to see about contacting, these bands that I've always been a fan of, for some for a few years, some for decades, many for decades, decades, decades.
That's a
um,
hard word there, Jen A.
yeah. So oh, I get my words twisted up all the time. That's my
Same.
mother right there. Yeah, she gave that to me. Sorry, mom. So yeah, it just came to me when I was at work to do this. And to my surprise, everybody that I have asked that's gotten back to me has been more than down, even some of the bigger names that I wouldn't expect to reply. So yeah, that's kind of me. If you want the music side of me, the other side of me, I'm a dad and a husband. Uh, I work in a warehouse. Um, a lot of time to think there. It's not isolated work, but you're by yourself, in a station. So, and you want to know about a little more in depth of Liars Pacifist, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like what's that? What it'll entail besides the interviews?
yes.
Yeah. So there will be at some point, if I could get over my crowd stage fright, I guess, vocal covers that I'm gonna do. You know that one of your songs is on that list,
It blew me
Sleepwalking.
away. Completely blew me
Yeah,
away.
so I'm not really much of a harsh vocal kind of guy though, so I'm trying to figure out how I could incorporate, if I can't get the scream, something that's at least got some grit. But Your stuff is a little bit more difficult to sing than you might expect it to be.
I don't
You
see
know,
how.
it's yeah, it's so you're a deeper voice than I have, right?
Yeah.
But when you sing, believe it or not, when you sing, your register kind of goes a little bit higher, you know. So I don't have the deepest voice, but your song is it has. I'm not saying it's been difficult to kind of iron out, but getting those, I don't know if I want to call them nuances, but traits or just quirks in your vocals, they're a little tricky. So yeah, gonna do the covers, gonna get your stuff figured out. Try and execute as best I can. I've got switched on the list to cover. Obviously, Simon Says. Some Earshot. Um,
Oh,
yeah, I'm gonna try some Trust Company. I'm gonna try some Seven Dust. That's gonna be tough though.
Seven
That
Dust is rough, man. Lejean, he's a
Yeah,
beast.
I am in no. I don't put myself on any kind of pedestal. So um, I'm just a singer for not hobby, but in my personal space. I
Yeah,
don't like I'm in a car or I'm in my garage or room or whatever. And but aside from that, there's also going to be I want to kind of dive in a little bit to album reviews or song reviews, maybe even just snippets of music news that interest me that might interest other people, because I'm slowly building my audience, so it's kind of the brainstorming stage of how I'm going to build that audience. So that right now is kind of what Liars Pacifist is going to be incorporated by or defined by, or um, the content to expect. There will be other things that'll come to me over time. I'll probably think of something at work this coming week, and post it up. But oh well, one that I really want to try and do is filming live shows.
okay,
Yeah, that's gonna be probably a little spendy though, because I'm gonna need to get like equipment. I'm gonna need to work out details with venues and the bands and their management, labels if they have one, for what I'm allowed to do. So that's a bigger goal. Um, I've got the big one for this year though is trying to get Maynard of Tool. I want to get him for an interview.
bro.
Um,
Seriously,
yeah, yeah, I'm going for it.
dude.
I've sent out messages to David Draymond of Disturbed. I've sent one to Adam Gontier. I've sent one to Rob Flynn of Machine Head. I've contacted Johnny Santos of Spine Shank and Silent Civilian. Um, Johnny Hawkins, nothing more. Just waiting to see who bites. You
So,
know?
dude, that is absolutely incredible. Like,
Yeah,
I I remember when you made the announcement. What was it? A couple days ago that you were trying to get Aaron Nordstrom from
yeah,
from
yeah,
Gemini Syndrome, and I was like, holy crap, dude, that would be
yeah,
an amazing one. And now
yeah,
you're talking about like even like more elusive people like
yeah.
Maynard.
That that one's gonna probably be tricky. Aaron was pretty just he responded probably within an hour or two, and he really didn't have any terms. He was more than down with it. He was just a little curious about the nature of what the interview would be, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
hey, it'll be framed like or um done as if you're talking to a family member or a friend. Just easy going, easy flowing conversation. That's how I'm trying to do this. It's
same.
not, yeah, it's not for any kind of like gain of any kind, like monetary or like, I mean, I want my name getting out there, but that's not really the point of what I'm doing. Like, just like, for, Six Scars, I mean, sure, it's really nice to have your audience, but really at the end of the day it's for you, you know. So yeah, gonna be great. I'm excited. That's tomorrow for Aaron, around 6 my time. So
No
6
crap,
p.m.
man. Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Dude, look at you.
Yep. It's just they're just coming quick. So
Dude,
um
that's amazing.
yeah, I didn't think I'd get it, but hey, you don't know unless you try.
Right, right. Well,
Yeah.
real quick, I want to give a shout out because Patrick McElravy, or AKA Steve, dropped in on Facebook and said, "Hey," so I just wanted to make sure we gave him proper love. He has done
Absolutely.
more for Six Scars in the last year than people realize,
Yeah.
and I absolutely love the guy. So going back to Liars Pacifist, man, like I'll try to get through all these questions, but like me and you could just sit here and talk. I know it.
Yeah.
How do you think that hosting Liars Pacifist will actually like deepen your connection to music?
Just establishing just connections with the musicians that I don't idolize, but look up to,
Hmm.
and I'm influenced by, and just learning things from them. And um, if this ends up turning into something bigger than I think it can reach, then I'll also see where that avenue goes. I'm open to almost anything. So, but right now I'm just trying to build my platform, you know. So, does that answer your question? I could go a little bit
Yeah. Yeah.
more.
No, well, I mean, also like since this is a little bit of a mental health podcast, I'm trying to keep it a little bit lighthearted right now, and then
Yeah.
we'll. But do you think that it will help deal with certain things, like as far as what you want to accomplish in music? Do you think it will kind of appease that little itch?
For my itch for music, or just
Yeah, just in
like,
general, just like do you think it will help?
I mean, I think it will. Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, just listening to music or my writing helps immensely. So I mean,
Absolutely.
this is just going to be not just, but it'll be another kind of side of that.
Okay,
Um, so hold on a second.
not a
Here,
problem.
bud. Oh, oh, that didn't get on. Oh, the joys. Hmm. I don't know, buddy. Phone's all froze up on him.
Oh, not a problem.
Yeah, it's got jelly on the screen. trying
Peanut butter
to
jelly time.
trying to put in my passcode, and it's not one to reckon. There you go, bud. Recognize it. I'm pushing a number on there. Uh, Catch me up on what I was saying again, real quick, because I kind of
Oh,
spaced it out in that
yeah,
minute.
no, you're fine. We were talking about how, doing the Liars Pacifist might help cure that itch that you're dealing with.
Oh,
As
okay.
far as like, just appeasing the itch for music. And then Patrick commented saying it will help cure the itch, but it will also make you want to pull your hair out.
He's right, because I've already, and as far as pulling my hair out, being my own critic, right? Because I've looked back on footage with me and Matt, vocalist for Simon Says, for those that don't know, who is back together, by the way, and tune
Ugh.
into them. They're one of the best from that early
Yes.
2000s.
Shut your breath,
Um,
man.
yeah. Uh, Looking back on footage of how I interact, or just wishing I had responded or framed questions in different ways. So I've already pulled my hair out on that. Like, I didn't like how at the end of the first part, we've ended the interview, but he sits there for a minute waiting for me to end it, right? And then he leans forward and he starts on his phone. He's pushing it. And then I'm like getting on it and just a little bit awkward on my part, you know, because I'm just like sitting there for a second registering that we had both been okay, we're good, let's do the part two when we can. And then just, you know, like I said earlier, learning how to interview, you know, because there's an art to it,
Mm-hmm.
just like there's that sweet spot for writing, making your music. So I pulled my hair out, not literally, but figuratively already with that. And the itch, it's definitely getting the itch scratched as far as establishing connections with bands that I, you know, like I said before, I've always listened to and that I've just started getting into. Like
Yeah.
Sever Red, I still need to get their interview locked in because I've made the mistake of getting too many at one time and then figuring out what I'm going to do each one. You know, I got a little ahead of myself, and then uh, but they'll all get gotten to. The itch will keep getting scratched, and I'll probably start feeling like, well, I want to dive even deeper and do even more. It's just inevitable. It's kind of like not a gateway drug, you know, but just like it opens the door
Yeah.
to you want to pursue other sides of music.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about your writing, and you tend to be a very private person, which there's nothing wrong with that at all. But your writing, man, there's something so different about it. And I told you that before, like
Yeah.
the way you use your words, like where do you draw your inspiration from?
Um. Well, that's always been kind of a hard one for me to answer because I do have influences as far as like writing lyrics goes. Like, you know, there's Chester from Linkin Park as far as like the way he would word his anguish or his inner turmoil and trauma in a very relatable way.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, there's I would even, you know, obviously, you know, Simon Says is an influence for how I write. Seven Dust, authors I don't remember the name of, but I don't try and be like any of those names that I've named off in particular. There was a point in time where I felt like I was trying to come off like how Maynard would write or phrase things, but I quickly kind of I got away from that pretty fast because I've always been about listening to that internal voice in my head.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I listen to, and that's really where I don't think I'm really, you know, obviously anything real special with my writing. You know, I'm happy that you feel that way and it gets you that way. And you know, I'm humble and I maybe not real. I don't give myself enough credit maybe to some people, but I don't know. It's kind of hard to answer that. I just kind of let it flow out of me, and how it comes out, I can't predict or really know. I just put words together that make sense to me, and I try and keep it as it was when I first wrote it, so it's um, untouched. I do, you know, I revise just like most writers would, but like I reach back on a lot of life experiences. Not to say that I've had the roughest time when I was a kid or now or the times in between, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's a real great way to sum up where I pull from for writing, but yeah, I just do what I do.
No, no, that is a perfect
So
way to sum it up. It really is. There's just you have a very intriguing style, and you know where you were saying that you used to write kind of like Maynard, um, but then you quickly stopped. I used to write a lot of like Manson style and Corn because that's what my vocals lent
mhm.
itself to.
Yeah.
But I found in doing that I found my own identity. And to me, I feel as long as you can find your own identity through that, there's nothing wrong with starting out that way. As long as you don't continue to copy somebody else's.
Yeah, I'm all about originality, but also all about letting your influences kind of steer you along in some manner
Mm-hmm.
until you find your footing and you find your own way of doing what a lot of other people do, writing music, uh movies, filmmakers, or just a job.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have people that kind of mentor you or inspire you,
Yeah.
and there there's not a musician or any kind of writer or that could tell you that nothing they've done wasn't influenced or inspired by somebody else.
Absolutely.
And I love influences. I love in, being inspired by people. So, or like, this might sound silly, but I could be inspired by something like a raindrop rolling down my car window, and I could have a metaphor in my head about how I could connect that to life, right? Because it starts in a cloud, somewhere, comes down on, hits whatever surface, and then it's done. So that's just like living, you know. So yeah, I know it's it's
No,
like,
no,
so
that's great, dude. Like,
yeah.
I kind of wish I could be that way at times. For me, it takes a lot of inner turmoil to sit down and write. I can't. I've found I cannot write happy music.
That's okay.
Is it though?
Yeah, I mean, there's a part in that interview I did with Matt where he actually said that he's never written a happy song, right?
It's
He's
hard.
never written happy songs at all, from what he could recall. But this stuff that they're working on, there's I posted a snippet of the song I'm talking about, which doesn't have a title, but he's, for what sounded like the first time for him, he's writing about something where he's reflecting on life, and basically the song's kind of touching on themes of not wasting your moments with just living and the people you care about that are in your life,
Hmm.
and not something that, from what I could gather, that he's really written about before. And it's almost positive in a sense, because he's learned through, the years, you know, things that matter more than others. And so he's taken that into his writing that maybe wasn't there before.
Yeah,
So,
I'm really excited for this, dude. I think it's gonna be killer. I
yeah.
really do. Um, so talking about reflecting on life and things of that nature, is there a specific song that's like a go-to for you when you're facing a difficult time? I know I have like several, so I mean, I didn't know if you might have one as well.
I've There's one that I could think of right off the bat is "Easier to Run" by Linkin Park.
Yeah.
It's easy to face away from something that you're dealing with, and try and forget about it and not deal with it, and
Mhm.
just keep walking forward, and think that you've left it behind. But it always finds a way to come back and enter your mind and remind you in some way. And so that's a song that I've turned to a lot throughout the years. Man, there's so many songs. There's some corn songs.
Yeah.
There's, what's one in particular that, like, I have to hear it. I have like hundreds of songs bouncing around my head right now.
Oh, no worries, man. Just whatever comes to mind, man.
Yeah,
You know?
this was kind of silly, but I would listen to someone, because I was by myself without a, significant other for a long time, and I've listened to someone by earshot and just kind of imagine, because he's talking about finding that someone for him that he
Yeah.
could trust and have in his life, you know. And so I would use that song before I met my wife, and just like, and hope for it. And I get depressed about it, like siblings having significant others, or just looking at my folks and what they have and just wanting it. And then Tomorrow by SR71.
Oh wow.
Because that's kind of a song that's about, not being afraid what the future's going to bring
Mm-hmm.
or the next day, and
Mm-hmm.
just living in the day, in the moment, and just when it comes, if it's not something happy or if it's something difficult, and just dealing with it, you know. Um, this is a subject that I could talk on forever. Like, trust me, I have so many songs. Like, there's
Same.
Eldest 11 songs, there's Stained songs. Like, man, like, there's a lot of Stained that really helped me. And recently, and I knew of this band before I went and saw them open for Smashing Into Pieces, but they're called Citizen Soldier.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've listened to them.
That that concert, and honestly, more than Smashing, like, they spoke to me on a level that I didn't even know they could be reached in me. Like the themes of like suicide, not that I've had suicidal thoughts, but just like the themes that a lot of that guy's lyrics will touch on is like he pulls them right out of my head, right? And so almost every song from that band just helps me out. Sometimes it gets me sad, but
Hmm.
more than it gets me sad, it gives me that fuel,
Yeah.
to face whatever it is in
Yeah.
any given day. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, you were talking about Earshot with someone, and I mean that song hits me hard to this day. But I find myself going to Rotten Inside
Yeah.
a lot, and same with Falls Apart. Like those two by Earshot are a
Yeah.
constant for me.
Very relatable themes in those songs.
Hmm. They really
Yeah.
are, and I find that when I listen to them, sometimes it will empower me, or sometimes it will do the exact opposite. But no matter the outcome, I still have to listen to it.
Yeah.
So, on another, uh, series of notes, I guess you could say, is there how has music helped deal with your anxiety and like your own personal growth?
Um, it's been a teacher as far as um I guess how to deal with some of that stuff and how to let it go and truly let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't just me that dealt with stuff from my dad, is my brothers and my mom too, and people that knew my dad. But um, after we got out of that is when I really started to turn to music, because music is one of those things, and it's why so many musicians and people that listen to music say that it's like a language to the soul, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
notes, the way the note would resonate, or just
Mm-hmm.
a single word or a line from a song. Um, Music's carried me through a lot of that and stuff that I still deal with from it. Like, I dealt with before I met my wife, before I got married, before I had a kid. Um, this is a line from a TikTok artist, by the way, where he says that worried about inheriting some of his father's darkness. That line was like, woo, because that's something that I was afraid of when I became a dad. How I was going to be able to basically be a dad, like what kind of dad I'd be. But yeah, music is just, aside from like family and my wife and kid, is the most vital thing in my life that is just a therapy. You know, it yeah, it's shaped a lot of who I am. It's been what's gotten me wanting to pursue music in some aspect. It's almost the most constant thing in my life besides breathing oxygen, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um It's a hard thing to answer because I could go so many different uh go down so many different roads with it. Because you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I do. I do.
Like people, even with people that don't have trauma, right? People that didn't experience anything necessarily that stuck with them into their teenage years, into their adult years. You know that music has helped them. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so yeah. I mean, I just want to frame it like that. Like it reminds me that things will be okay. It reminds me that it's okay to let myself be vulnerable and feel the things that I want to suppress a lot of the time. Because I have problems sharing things even with my significant other, because
Yeah.
like you don't want to burden their mind with things that go on in your own,
Hmm.
right? So music helps me know that it's okay to talk about it, you know.
You brought up a really uh poignant thing there where you were saying that you don't want to burden your significant other with the problems that you can go through.
Yeah.
And to me, a lot, like, just speaking for me personally, I deal with that a lot because it goes back to my upbringing. And so I find myself still trying to catch myself um before I shut somebody out. Because if I'm not careful, I can shut somebody out by not expressing what I want to the fullest extent or what I need to. And I ultimately think that that's a huge problem right now, not just with men, but with society in general, where people just they don't want to speak about what's actually bothering them. Now, there you could say there's a certain extent that you should go to, and that's understandable. But I don't think bottling everything up is good.
No, it really isn't, because a lot of this violence you see around us, there's a lot of that stems from people that just don't want to talk about it, don't want to get any kind of help, don't want to be vulnerable, and so it makes them lash out violently, and uh, it doesn't solve anything, and it just causes suffering for other people,
Yeah.
and just one of those things for like mental health. It's so there was a time where I would think about people that end up taking that road and just aren't here anymore.
Hmm.
And I would have not nice things to say about that, right? I and it wasn't until recently that I started to kind of realize that I don't think there's really anybody that took that road that really wanted to have just it end, but there wasn't anything that made sense enough to keep them around, right?
Yeah.
Right, and before that, I would just say how weak, like how selfish of them to leave that. Like, say if they were like a mother or father and they left their kids, to know that, oh, my mom or my dad or a sibling um just left this world. I used to think it was just one of the most selfish things because I didn't really understand um the reasons, and even if I did understand, I didn't want to accept the reasons because my brain was still telling me, like, why not just talk about it? Why not just seek the help? you know there's every reason to stick around. Well, it's not so simple to a lot of those people that did do that. So that's something that, believe it or not, there's a little trauma that I have from that thinking I used to have as far as like mental health and stuff. It's like I suffer from that. I have trauma, but here I am talking about these people that couldn't take it anymore like they were lesser than me, you know? They're not lesser than anybody. They feel like they have no other way out.
Yeah.
They don't see
Yeah.
it getting any better. So,
Yeah. I agree. you know, I've talked with Gio on the first episode about it, but like I deal with a lot of suicidal ideation myself,
Yeah.
and it's something I'm always gonna have to deal with, and I understand that, and you know I learned from an early age what those things can do to somebody's mind, and you know it's so easy to put yourself in their shoes and be like, well, you should have done this and you should have done that and you should have asked for help more, or you should have made it more apparent. And it goes back to what you said about your significant other. You feel like a burden,
Yeah.
and you feel like the more that you try and push and get people to understand what you're going through, the more you are unloading your problem on them, and you don't want to become that problem to society.
Yeah.
um and I think, you know, there's not enough people that play devil's advocate. It's like, what made them get to that point that it was so bad? That's what people need to start asking themselves, not how could they do it? What made them get to that point, and what signs did we miss?
Yeah.
And it's I I'll reel myself in because you know a little bit about me with that, but
Yeah.
it's just man, like I I used to think the same way up until, you know, a certain point in my life, and it does mess with you when you look at yourself like that, because you're like, did I think I was better than somebody? Like, I don't know what they went through. Could I have handled what they went through the same way?
Yeah.
I mean,
That's exactly my point. You don't know if you think it's so. It's not easy being. It's not easy being happy, and it's not easy being depressed.
mm-hmm,
You know,
mm-hmm.
there's a lot that could raise you up, and there's a lot that could just pull you back down.
Yeah, there is. And I think it's essential that people find an outlet. I know obviously for us it's music, and you know, others are other desires that they approach, but I think it's healthy that somebody has that, because if not, you kind of internally just combust.
Yeah, it's it breaks you down. Internalizing it breaks you down. Like a line from a Citizen Soldier song is that it may not sound like so much of a profound line to some other people, but I think it goes something like people would being afraid to talk about what you're internalizing because you'll be viewed as a freak by like your family or your friends,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're afraid that they're gonna want to distance themselves from you. Like people are afraid that they're gonna lose people that they care about in their life, opening up about it. That's a well-known thing with a lot of people that are very much advocates for mental health and wanting people to seek the help. You know that it it's a hard fear to overcome, right?
Yeah,
Being able to talk about it, and there's that stigma with men, as you know, that we're not supposed to be vulnerable.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I say screw that. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's why worry about how you be perceived being a man and being vulnerable or crying will look like to somebody else that doesn't understand the reasons behind you doing it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm more concerned about my own health, mental or physical health, you know, than somebody else's view on seeing me lose my composure at work because I have several times over different reasons, you know, and I'm not ashamed of it.
Yeah,
So it's something I hope more people could come to that same realization, just like I need to get it out
yeah.
because it helps. It helps to vent. It helps to have somebody that could be an ear. You know, um, I I still am one of those people that I'm not really thinking that medication is like a healthy answer to it because that's been something that's taken people down that road too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, being on it, the intention there is to help the individual, yeah, but you know, anyway, Yeah. That's a bag that when you open it for mental health.
It can go a bunch of different ways.
Yeah.
And I mean,
So,
I'm basically on the same boat as you, even though I've been through the ringer and diagnosed with so many things. I'm still not a firm believer in taking antidepressants, because while they do take away some of the depression, they also dull who you are sometimes.
yeah.
I'm not saying for everybody. I know just for me, I found myself not wanting to be creative. I found myself not just merely existing is what it
Hmm.
feels like. And to me, there has to be another alternative. Like there just has to be a healthier one at that too, because it can make you even more depressed.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And not everybody could afford somebody to go and talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like why does it need to cost you hundreds and thousands of dollars to go and talk about your problems, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like you're taking a price and tacking it on to happiness. Like, well,
Mm-hmm.
if you have this amount of money, if therapy will actually do for you what it's intended for, here's the price for it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like big pharma
Yeah.
has something going on, but that's another story.
That's another rabbit hole.
That's a big rabbit hole. So getting back a little bit more on track, because like I said, you and me could talk forever. But are there any specific playlists or artists that you go to uplift you?
Uh, Thinking about it, I I go to a lot of, actually, believe it or not, and I'm not the only person, angry music
Mm-hmm.
to lift me up. There's a lot of people that don't understand how it can, but it's kind of one of those things where if you know, you know,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
why it does. Like, um, one in particular, not they're not a negative band really. They write about some negative things, but in the realm of getting out of that negativity. But Demon Hunter is a band that I listen to all the time, and they
Mm.
have a lot of songs. They're on. I have At one point I had over 50 playlists on my phone, and then I went through that and consolidated it. Skill is another band that I will listen to because there's a lot of positivity in their music.
Yeah.
Not that I care for a lot of the some of the newer stuff. It
Yeah.
is what it is. But
Yeah. It is what it is.
there's still that message of positivity in the music. So, like, Whispers in the Dark, that's a pretty profound song,
Yeah.
for what it's touching on. I go to that song all the time. Um, but Skillet, um, other like playlists that people have put together themselves, I've never really went to any of those. I
Yeah.
haven't really looked up playlists for with songs about uplifting my mood or whatever. I like to put them together myself
Yeah.
because, like, I know what kind of message I'm looking for, that I could just type it in, find it, put it on there, or put it on and have it, just start playing right there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So I have to ask, because you've mentioned two bands that I grew up with, which was Demon Hunter and Skillet.
mhm.
What is your favorite era from Skillet and Demon Hunter?
Collide era for
Yes.
Skillet. That's got some amazing work on it. Like, yeah, that's when they did go big major label and much more mainstream, but it kept that integrity
Mm-hmm.
of younger Skillet and took whatever vision the band had at the time and made, to me, the best record they've ever made.
I agree.
That's easily, to me, the best era of Skillet there's ever been. And then Demon Hunter, this is going to be an obvious one. You're probably going to say the same, but Summer of Darkness, Demon
Mm-hmm.
Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's not a single song on that I would that I skip songs, but it's not because they're bad songs. It's because I
Yeah.
want to get to another song first,
Another
because
song.
it's
Yeah.
like, like Heartstrings Come Undone. Like, or I Play Dead, like it's just a song, or it's just an album that from that band that, just like Shot Your Breath from Simon Says, I say that Summer Darkness is pretty much flawless, and
Hmm.
Collide almost as flawless, but that's my picks for the
Absolutely.
eras.
Absolutely.
Easily.
I got to see Skillet right as they were releasing Collide at a local church, and
Yeah.
man, that was awesome. Like getting to hear Open Wounds live was just like
Yeah.
incredible.
You mentioned Open Wounds. That's a song about abuse suffered to the kid by the hand of a parent. So when I first heard that song, it was instantly a song that I went to all the time because I was there, right? I was like, man, why was that left off the record in the first place? And well, it's because the song hadn't been made yet. The label that they signed with asked them, hey, we need one more song to put on a special edition of this album. And they're like, okay, well, and then they came out with that song. So yeah, that's a good song.
I I'm trying not to sound elitist, but I miss that era of both of the bands. I
Me
really do.
Me too. Hey, I mean, Demon Hunter's been way more consistent than Skillet has. We can both
Very
agree on
much.
that.
Yeah.
I can't really say that there's honestly a bad Demon Hunter album. There's just albums that are a little more hit and miss.
Yeah. Like I with the latest Demon Hunter album, it's still a really solid album, but it's not the Demon Hunter that I prefer. And that's
Yeah,
perfectly fine.
I'm not one of those people. I think you could recall this, me saying this several times, that wants to try and say what a band should have done.
Mhm.
But all I do, because I'm a firm believer in fan, shut your mouth. It's not your music. They will make it how they want to music. Make it.
I like
Uh,
that. How they want the music.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, the newest Demon Hunter album, like I found myself skipping through a lot of those songs, and
Yeah.
it isn't even because they were bad. It's just
No.
I was kind of like scratching my head because they, like, I don't want to say that they couldn't execute what they were trying to accomplish, but it was almost like they were almost getting there on the songs, but then it was just falling off.
Mhm.
Right?
I
It's a concept record, and it just, for me, it didn't really. It's not one that I've really listened to a whole lot.
no, I agree. And I'm not trying to turn this into a bash fest or anything like that, but like one last thing on that, and it's I've listened to it a couple times, and for the life of me, I can't remember a line from a song.
It's
It,
I hate to say it, but it's just not memorable.
no, no, and it's like you said, it's right on the edge of being something really great
Yeah.
to me, and then it just kind of like falls flat. But I digress. We'll get away from that. But you know, we were talking about like different bands that we grew up with, and obviously Simon Says is a huge one for you.
Oh yeah.
Um, was there any other really big ones in that era for you? Like aside from the Skillets and the Demon Hunters that people kind of, would know.
Um. Well, they were kind of a household name at the time, and there's a lot of music. I have a friend named Kyle Palmer who he's still a really good friend. We don't talk as much as we used to, but I found a lot of the music that I listen to still to this day from his dad, Rich. Like, he introduced me to Seven Dust. He introduced me to Revis.
Oh wow.
He introduced me to a whole ton of bands that, like, they have records that are just massive in my mind. Um, One I found on my own was Low Pro. I think they came out around, like, I want to say it's like what, between 2003 and
Y-
6,
Yeah, I'm
I
pretty
think,
sure.
when Pete Murray just resurfaced with the new band, and it wasn't Ultra Spank, but it was real good in my
Yeah,
opinion. You
yeah.
know, like Bombs, Sunday, uh, Thread, or I think it's called Thread. Um, yeah, they're a band from back then that I hold in high regard. like Simon Says or Demon Hunter. Um, what's the band? Lifehouse.
Oh
Believe
man,
it or not.
I love
Like,
old Lighthouse.
yeah, my friend Kyle's parents surprised me. Well, my friend Kyle called me up and asked, saying, "You want to go to a concert?" I'm like, "Who is it?" And I was wondering, would I even be allowed to go? Would my parents say yes? But it was Lifehouse, and I had never really heard any song from them, but maybe two, and one was the obvious hit.
Hanging by
Hanging
a
by
moment.
hanging by a moment. And so he put that on the phone from his stereo, and as soon as that opening chord hit, I'm like, I know it.
Yep.
And that album was a big one for me. Like, I loved that album. Like, that was an awesome concert. But obviously Linkin Park is going to be one. Edema, um, Switched, just, I mean, I could go on. It's like an endless, like, I could name drop Dry Cell. They were like,
Oh wow.
they were Linkin Park's clone, right? The
Yeah, that's a deep cut
same
right
guy,
there.
I think the same guy that discovered Linkin Park discovered them, if I'm not mistaken, and it was because of the similarities. But that was a pretty strong record. Depswa, you know,
Oh man.
yeah. And then Adam Ship was, I was with my friend Steven at a Best Buy, and I'm like, I'm gonna go in here and I'm just gonna grab a random CD as long as it said rock or metal on it for what style of music was and buy it. And it
Yeah.
was Adam Ship. And as soon as that first song came on, I think the first song is Pencil Fight on that record.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yep, this is my kind of music. That's like I go back to Withered almost every week, if not every day. Like, that's just like a song that I could put on and just lean back, close my eyes, and just listen to. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Gone way too soon too. Like
Yeah.
he really was, man.
Right when they were starting to reconcile, talk about making music again, they did a show or two, if I'm not mistaken, before he passed away, Joey.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it sucks. The artists that just are gone that I never got to see on a stage.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never gonna see Linkin Park. I don't think they're ever gonna do anything, and that's fine. That's totally their choice. Like, I'm okay with that, but I'm not okay with the fact that I didn't do it when they were still a complete, group. So
Yeah, I know. And it the older I'm getting, I'm like, man, I really need to get out to more shows because you don't know. We take for granted how long these people are going to be around.
yeah,
And it's something I definitely want to change, but I know we're coming up on about an hour, and man, I just wanted to thank you for your
yeah.
time first
Oh,
and foremost.
we yeah, no problem. I mean, we still got some
We
time. I
still got
mean,
a little bit of time. Okay, I
we
didn't
still
want
got a
to,
little bit of time.
So let's kind of pick things up here a little bit because I'll go into a dark well of the abyss if I'm not careful.
It's
So let's
easy to do it.
It is, especially on this kind of podcast. So I'm trying to keep it a little bit more lighthearted. But so what? We'll just do a rapid fire. Favorite food?
Pasta.
Pasta. Any
Yeah.
kind of way or just regular?
Well, I like it. I like homemade stuff. My wife does great homemade pastas. Like, to me, Alfredos. I love, chicken Alfredo. I love pastas with sausage in it and vegetables. There's one in particular that you take sweet potato and you chop up and you put in there. Real good. Um, then second, I would say like pizza or Chinese food, um, hamburgers. Who
Oh
doesn't love a
yeah.
hamburger?
Oh dude. You get a fresh hamburger patty with some melted cheese on it and a
Yeah.
pickle.
Do you
Oh God.
down there? Do you have a place called Five Guys Burgers and Fries?
We do.
Yeah, that's my
We
place.
do. I love going there.
That's my burger stop right there.
Hell yeah, man. So, all right, we got favorite food. How about your favorite movie?
Oh crap,
Uh-huh. I knew this one would get you.
that's real tough. I mean, if I can't say a favorite or the favorite,
Mhm.
um, I'm a big fan of the Alien franchise. You know, one, two, and three in particular. Um, I liked Prometheus. I liked Covenant, even though I had my issues with them. I love the Terminator franchise. Not all of them, but you
The
know the
first two.
obvious ones. Uh, Terminator. I love Braveheart. I love the at least the first two Highlander movies.
There can be only
Um,
one.
huh?
There can be only one.
Yeah, exactly. Um, John Wick films. I think those are done real well for modern action. There's I like some foreign films too. There's one called The Man from Nowhere. That if you have not seen that, that
Yes,
was
it's so
out.
good.
That was around before John Wick, and that I would honestly say that it's almost better than at least three of the four John Wick movies. Like the way
Mhm.
that movie was done, I was impressed with it. And then I had to throw in like the Homeward Bound movies because those movies helped me through some stuff too because of what they're kind of about.
Yeah.
Which is just resilience and just pushing yourself, getting there. So I like movies that like that kind of just have have more than a purpose than just to be a bunch of explosions and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Michael
So
Bay.
yeah, pretty much. He loves those explosions.
I mean, to be fair, he's really good at making them happen. So, like,
Yeah.
I'll grant him that. He's not my favorite though. But going back to some of the things we were discussing, just wanted to kind of give a little bit of levity here. But I I know without saying in detail or anything like that, I know you've been through some things
All
in
right.
your life, and if you could say something to anybody that was going through something similar, what would you say?
Uh, Probably that because I spent a lot of time behind a closed door listening to it, right?
Mm,
When it would take place. And there's a lot of stuff that I didn't know that I know now that happened, not to me, but my other siblings, my older siblings.
mm,
But if I had to say to anybody that that's going through any kind of like abuse of any sort, is that it never makes sense to stay in it. It's scary to think about how you could get out of it, but it's pretty much always the answer is to just get out of it. It's not always the easiest thing to do, obviously, but in that there's always going to be the end of it. And I would hope the or not, I don't know if I want to say happy end of it, but just that um this is used all the time, but I'll use it anyway. But the light at the end of that tunnel, right?
yeah,
It's not easy when it's going on to endure, and it'll stay with you. I'm going to be honest; it's probably going to stay with me my entire life because I have no desire to go and I I, I kind of want to get. Hold on a second. I didn't literally do a thing too. I'll be done in a minute. Sorry about that.
not a problem at all.
Yeah, I just say that just be as strong as you can be, and when you find yourself getting to that point, and you know that you're gonna, uh, I don't know, man. It because I'm not everybody, but I know that it's people have gone through the exact same thing. But don't lose hope, I guess. Because like if you're a person of faith, lean on that. I did. Um, and just you don't be afraid of finding those ways to cope with it at the time, but also um, keep yourself from just letting it keep you down. Like it's hard to do, but um, yeah, I mean, I'm grateful that I was able to get out of it. We just up and left. We got out, and that's what I hope for anybody that's
Yeah.
going through it. That'll be the same. I don't know if I want to say resolution or whatever, but the end of that's only a chapter in your life. There's
Yeah.
going to be another chapter that's going to be better. I hope.
And it's easy to get stuck in that mindset where you feel like that is the only chapter that's going to happen. In like, obviously not the same thing for me, but just I know when the things I've been through where you get stuck and you don't always feel like there's going to be another side. Like sometimes you don't feel like you can make it through another day, let alone another chapter in your life. And it's important to realize that, this too shall pass.
Yeah. Basically, what I was trying to allude to is it'll pass,
Yeah.
and I feel for the ones that didn't get that kind of end of it. And I wish it would have been different for them, but just be strong.
Yeah.
You know, not
Absolutely.
easy to do, obviously, but strength isn't just one thing, though. I'll say
No,
that.
no, it's not. It encompasses many things and many attributes within one's personality.
Yeah.
And I will be letting you go here in just a minute, but I wanted to tell you, man, thank you so much for doing this from the
Yeah.
bottom of my heart, dude. This has been an absolute joy. Um, with Liars Pacifist, where can people find you?
Right now, YouTube, and then I do have my alternate Facebook page. You know it.
Hmm.
Um, just type in Liars Pacifist on Facebook or YouTube, and you can find it there. I did have a Threads account, but I ended up deleting my app for that. I don't like the layout, and
I
I
tried
also
it,
don't.
and I'm not a fan.
I also don't like all the junk that just pollutes your feed on there. It's like it's everything and anything,
Yeah, yeah, it really
So
is.
yeah, those are right now the two places you could find me.
Okay,
And before I go, just like Matt said to me, we can do this as many times as you would like. There's no one and done about it.
absolutely.
I'm an open book to a point. You know, if I don't want to talk about it, you'll know, but that not likely to happen. So
Well, I mean, I was just getting ready to ask you if you'd want to come back on for another one because I feel like you and me can we just scratched the surface
yeah,
of what a conversation could be between us, and it's like almost like a teaser for my brain at this point.
yeah, yeah. We could touch on other subjects more
Yeah,
in depth, or just new subjects. We'll see where
yeah,
it takes us.
absolutely. And I appreciate you for your openness on what we have discussed because
Yeah.
it's not always the easiest thing, and I appreciate you being willing to come on here and kind of lay yourself out for people to understand a little bit more.
Yeah.
And, you know, uh, I want to get back with you again at some
Yeah.
point down the road. Please tell your wonderful wife and your amazing son that I said hello. And before I let you go, when you messaged me saying that he was dancing to Nebulous Translucent, I
Yeah.
got the biggest smile on my face. For
Yeah.
those that don't know, Will is one of the first people to ever hear the song, and he let his son listen to it and just filled me with so much joy to hear that he was dancing to it, man.
Yep.
Like
He
melted my heart.
I mean, before you go, if I play music on my little speaker nowadays, he'll go to his room and shut the door. So I'm like, I don't know if it's because it's too loud or it's not what he wants to hear, but
He's like, "You're
yeah,
getting too old, Dad."
yeah. It's like this isn't the popular stuff.
Just wait till he puts on Creed.
Hey, that'll be okay.
Man, that's a whole other topic.
Hey,
But Will,
I'm gonna catch a show if they come near here. So,
dude, I was supposed to catch Scott Stapp at Blue Ridge, and I missed it, and I'm so angry at my life.
we don't talk about Blue Ridge.
No, we don't, because I get angry.
Anyway, yeah, no problem, man. I feel the same. This was fun. So, thanks for
Absolutely,
having
and
me.
not a problem, man. I can't wait to see what comes next for you and Liars Pacifist. I can't wait to see all the interviews you're gonna get lined up, man. I'm proud of you, and you are absolutely killing it, dude.
Thank you. Same to
All
you.
right, I will catch you on the next one.
All right, take it easy.
See you. All right, guys. So that was the one and only Will Brawley. Be sure to catch him with Liars Pacifist. I have a feeling he's going to start popping off, and I think he's going to do some great, great stuff. So you definitely want to be on the ground floor of that. I want to say thank you for joining me for the second episode. This is really cool. It's a little bit of a different format, so thank you for dealing with any kind of technical difficulties I might have had. I will catch you on the next one. You all have a wonderful night. Be safe.